immigrants and people who were already there, and they created this land. And we've been going on a journey of the making of the republic. So today we're going to look at what Liberia means to those who came before us, those who are here, and voices of people back home. We will be doing that after we hear from our keynote speaker today, who's going to reflect on what Liberia means to us. And I mean, most of you who are listening, I know our speaker is no stranger to most of us. He was our teacher. He is now our mentor. He's somebody who we used to pass TH. We didn't want to speak to him, but we are here and we grow and we say, welcome, Prof. Nangbe, welcome.
Thank you.
And I will do the honors to introduce Prof. Nangbe to everybody. Dr. K. Moses Nangbe is a poet, a novelist, and a critical literary theorist who hails from Liberia. Prof has taught at both the secondary and tertiary levels of education. He earned his undergraduate degree from the University of Liberia, ALU, a master's from Rowan State University, an LLB from the Louis Arthur Grimes School of Law, and a PhD in education from North Central University. Professor Nangbe is a prominent Liberian, and his writings include We Are One, a collection of short stories published in 1986, a travel log entitled Buck Challenge, and to many of us, we know what that means. Several novels, including Drum Daddy is Back, the famous Road to Romeo, A Scream in the Storm. He also done Sun at Midnight, Wings for the Next Day, and recently One Saturday in August. And another recent one is Born of the Native Sun. Professor Nangbe's novel generally treat upper themes and culture. He believes that there is where society's salvation lies, because from such cultures come leaders whose conscience is pricked can eventually lead society down a meaningful path. Professor Nangbe's book, Nuggets of the African Novel, has become my Bible in all things literary, not only for Liberian literary history. So today we are very, very pleased to welcome Prof. Nangbe. We want to say that we are eagerly going to be listening to what you have to say to us, and the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you so much, Jackie. You know, there is a relationship that passes between professors and students. I always compare that to parents and their offspring. At a level, there can be an unequal playing field. But over time, when the students have measured up and have scored high, they and the professors now become equals in a significant way. So I am proud of what you've been doing. And the program, which is the Literary Hour, you have been a very strong backbone. So I'm proud of you. If there's anything called grades, I believe you deserve an A. So I want to thank you for that. But anyway, as Jackie pointed out, for several weeks now, we have been looking at Liberian history. We have been doing that through the use of literary forms such as letters, diaries, journals, songs, novels, and several other literary sources. If some of you do not know, literature and history work together. Literature shadows history. literature captures human emotions, and history infuses people with the consciousness to think about the concept of legacy. Anyone who does not think about legacy, especially at an adult level, that person really does not have purpose, does not have meaning as far as living is concerned. That person may be living recklessly, because if you think about legacy, you want to think about what, if you leave this world, people are going to remember you by. And anybody who has that thinking about people remembering him or her after death, that person has a purpose, that person has a meaning. And through literature and history, that person will kind of think about doing good things, and if bad things try to get in the way, that person will try as much as possible to measure up. So yes, we have been doing the tracing of Liberian history through Liberian literature. We have looked at the journey of the first Africans who traveled away from disintegrating African kingdoms. We talked about the group from the United States of America. Sadly, they were taken from Africa not on good terms. After 200 or after 200 or 300 years, they were now returning to their native continent. We also talk about those from the Caribbean world. They too, at some point in time, had been taken out there and passing through America, then through Canada, they all, and then through Britain, Great Britain, they all found their way to the Caribbean world. We also talked about the bitter engagement that unscrupulous white people had in trying as much as possible to divest some of the land out of a place that would become the Republic of Liberia. After tracing that part of the journey, we went on to talk about how Liberia, having become its own, they tried as much as possible to rally men and women so that these men and women would prosecute the cause of other Africans who were yet to become independent. So we saw how Liberia participated in the struggle for independence in Africa. We talked about the role of Liberia in establishing the Organization of African Unity, which eventually became the African Union. We also talked about how Liberia was able to mobilize forces in setting up ECOWAS and the Mano River Union. We talk about these things because people need to understand the journey that Liberia went through to get to this point. It hadn't been an easy journey. Like other human beings, Liberians went through their own difficulties, painful times and all that. So we have been thinking about these things, and also in the process, thinking about the problems that have pervaded in this country called Liberia. We talked about the class struggle in Liberia. We talked about, therefore, the contestation of power in the country. We talked about the only Negro clause in the Constitution. We talked about the origin of that. So, of course, that would mean that if people have some time, they may want to kind of review some of the video clips that we've done. Today is not the time for us to get into all the specifics. We talk about the Negro only clause in the Constitution, which I will be commenting on later on. We also talk about the culture of dependency in this country, where many people who prefer others giving them something than they giving something in return. We also talk about the culture of impressionism. There are people whose hands cannot reach to a particular thing, but they want to overstretch themselves. That is a sign of impressionism. It is packed up in Liberia there. And when others cannot afford, they go to work and get into manipulations and all that, all the shenanigans. All those things have become part of Liberia, which leads to another point, which is that there are people who are interested in me and only me, and in that process, try as much as possible to destroy others so that they and only they will mean something in their country. Now, all these problems we've talked about, all these trails we've talked about in terms of getting the country where it is, all these problems we know led to things like the April 14 riot, and we talked about the military coup, all those things being very sad instances and incidences in the country. The question is, as we celebrate 174 years of existence, which is like 26 years away, and we will be 200 years. The question is, what future do we have for the next many years to come? What is the vision that Liberians will want to develop as we move ahead, so that we do not continue in the wallowing and sad situation as can be found in several other places in that country, in several other pockets of the country, where there are others who want everything for themselves. They are greedy until it reaches to their chin. And it is not just the ordinary people, it is also some of the leaders in that country there. What can be done? How can Liberia make progress? I have a short time here, and that is for a purpose. But I like to leave you with 4 words. I like to leave you with 4 words as we embark on the next many years ahead. Let us learn, let us reflect, let us rebound, and let us lead. Briefly, let me comment on each of the 4 words. Let us learn, let us reflect, let us rebound, and let us, in whatever capacity, make an effort to lead. Learning is driven by curiosity. We must gather and understand information about our personal lives, the life about the Republic of Liberia, the life of our various communities, and life in the world. I can assure you that the picture that we will get may not be all too pretty. It will not be the picture or the story of angels descending and ascending to heaven. No, it will not be that one. It will be probably the story of human beings trying as much as possible to make some level of comfort available for themselves. There may be accidental flaws or weaknesses. There may be intentional flaws or weaknesses. It will be a good thing for people to restrain themselves as far as uh, incidental flaws are concerned or intentional flaws are concerned. If the flaws are accidental, people are willing to forgive. But if the flaws or weaknesses are intentional, then of course, like the local comment often says, whatever happens to you, you will be the cause of it because God does not like ugly. So if you are not sure of what to do, you have to be able to apply yourself, learn very well. The next thing is that we must reflect. Reflecting is accompanied by a deep assessment of life. It carries the acknowledgement of failures and the celebration of success stories, even if the stories are few. Reflection acknowledges the fact that humanity goes through both seen and unseen, goes through both known and unknown, go through the expected and the unexpected. Reflection acknowledges that at each level of life, we fall and rise. Reflection helps us entertain the hope for another day. So we must learn, we must reflect, and the next thing is that we must rebound. Rebounding is driven by the search for energy to start things anew. It is the desire to do things in a better way. If the idea of a second chance means for an individual to desire to compound wickedness, to compound human suffering for other people, then what evils befall that person has to deal with them. If your generational past was ugly, despicable, and detestable, it should only serve you well to make atonement. Where your generational past was unflattering, it rests with you to be the best that you can be. It rests with you to be a redemptive force in your family. You probably have more control of your present than your past. In your past, you may have been an imagination, parents and grandparents saying one fine day we are going to have a child, or one fine day we are going to have a boy or a girl. So whatever happened in your past, you cannot be blamed for it. But whatever happens in your present, like Liberians say, it is going to be your kinja. If there is a question regarding this circumstance that I'm talking about past and present, I direct you to the life of an American senator called Paul Thurman. Paul Thurman happened to be the son of Storm Thurman, who was an uncompromising and hypocritical segregationist of South Carolina. the United States of America. There came a time that a defamed Confederate flag had to be pulled off the top of the State House in South Carolina. And Paul Thurman had to speak to that issue. I like what he said, and I thought to quote from it. He said, quote, "I am aware of my heritage, but my appreciation for the things that my forebears accomplished to make my life better doesn't mean that I must believe that they always made the right decisions. And for the life of me, I will never understand how anyone could fight a civil war based in part on the desire to continue the practice of slavery." Think about it for just a second. Think about it for just a second. He goes on, "Our ancestors were literally fighting to continue to keep human beings as slaves and continue the unimaginable acts that occur when someone is held against their will. I am not proud of that heritage. I am not proud of that heritage. These practices were inhumane and were wrong, wrong, and wrong. They were wrong, wrong, and wrong." In other words, here is someone living in the present and yet reflecting on the past and being able to say that some of those things our people did were wrong. And yet now he has the present to deal with, and he's got to attune for whatever may have passed. He may not attune for everything, but at least he's making the point that he now lives in the past. I mean, he now lives in the present and has to work very hard to make attunement in a way. In a sense, here is an individual who is not technically rejecting the lineage or parentage, nor is he taking up arms to battle with anyone who seeks to lay out historical facts. Facts are there. Anywhere you turn, if those things are written, they are written. And if someone lied on your people, there is a way to know that a person lied on your people, because books are there, and while other books may be telling the lies, there are other books that will be telling the truth. So nobody has to get angry that the past is spoken about. All that person has to do now is be able to do whatever best for him to go ahead. So I've given you three of the words I have. I urge Liberians to learn. I urge Liberians to reflect. I urge Liberians to rebound. And let's go to the last one. I ask Liberians to lead. Leading doesn't mean that you have to be president of the country. Leading doesn't have to be that you are vice president. You can be in your community and mobilize resources and people to work together. That is part of leadership. Leading is the capacity to find areas where we can make a positive difference, all of us. So, among other things today, I call on all Liberians to seek collaboration of thought and action to deal with the following: responding like their very lives depended on whatever they are doing. So I have 4 goals. I have 4 things to think about as we celebrate this day. 1, let there be commissions on primary, secondary, and tertiary textbooks or readers on Liberian history, and literature. No one should crave to know about other people without knowing first about himself or herself. Let there be study groups to deal with the history and the literature of our beautiful land. 2, let there be the promoting and supporting of character and value education. Let there be the promotion and supporting of character and value education in schools. When a society is so damaged that most or all its people, even up to its leaders, are deep in greed, grand schemes of manipulation, just deep in reckless words and actions, then there will be really any spot for the society to grow. 3, let there be the promoting and supporting of civic education. This type of education will lead to the understanding of not just protecting rights, but also building up responsibilities of citizens. Today, it may be said that Liberia enjoys an overflow of freedom, but freedom unbalanced by the sense of responsibility is chaos. Freedom unbalanced by the sense of responsibility is chaos. And chaos is usually an immense invitation to death and destruction. The last goal, let there be the promoting and supporting of commissions or studies that could eventually actualize the true bond of inclusive drive in the country, affecting the pursuit, for instance, of dual citizenship. I know people have been saying all kinds of things. If people from other places go to Liberia, they will take our little thing that's been around for us. But how are we to know that some of these people that will be going back to Liberia are not taking opportunities to help those on the ground kind of expand their opportunities as well? I know others will say, well, 1, 2, or 3 have come here, and in the end, they just left with resources. But you cannot, you must not, you must never punish the few for the many. 1 or 2 people who have misbehaved cannot surpass what can be done to uplift the country. This approach should also eventually lead to the place of setting up a commission to study the relevance of the Negro only clause in the Liberian Constitution. I know we've gone through, as I told you, throughout the past several weeks, we've looked at the root cause of the Negro only clause. The history explains the justification for the clause. It emerged not out of black racism, but out of the natural consciousness of self-preservation and the disappointment in human brutality. That is why the clause was planted in there. There was the stain of the unconscionable attitude of racist and snobbish whites on the making of the republic. Yet, as Liberia moves deeper into the 21st century and beyond, some reality should dawn on us. The fate of good whites should not be trounced by the fate of obnoxious whites. The fate of good whites should not be trounced by the fate of obnoxious whites. This strong bond of inclusive drive I envisage should be able to rest on the strength of character and value education on the one hand, and civic education for rights and responsibilities on the other hand. Bringing everyone, the new Liberia I'm thinking about, bringing everyone, black and white, together, bound by the Constitution and the rule of law, wrapped up in integrity and genuine love of country, we should entertain the possibility that growth and development may thrive, since hopefully all citizens should be able to employ their talents and treasures in a place to be known and cherished by all and sundry. They should be the concerted challenge to all Liberians. So I end the reflection. I hope it was short so that we will have time to deal with other things. But remember, we've talked about the need to learn, the need to reflect, the need to rebound, the need to lead, which is now the clarion call of history in this land, the Republic of Liberia, the land I so learned to love and cherish. You know, when I think about Liberia, I think about her rivers, I think about her lakes, I think about her lagoons. When I think about Liberia, I think about her playgrounds, school playgrounds. I think about the hallways of her colleges and universities, where some of us began our education. When I think about Liberia, I think about her teachers and students. I think about all I learned and eventually taught. I think about the experiences I drew from that one and only Republic of Liberia. All of these things have sustained me now that I am a full-grown man. Wherever I am and whatever I say and do, the West African Republic runs through my brains, runs through my veins. May we all lift up that piece of land which God Almighty gave us. May we all never desert that land. May we all uphold it forever. Thank you wherever you are. I love all of you, and may we have a very beautiful day today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Dr. K. Moses Nabwe. That's the reflection on Liberia on this 174th Independence Day. There is a lot to chew on there. Please take it in a like. At the end, Prof discuss what Liberia means to him. Again, learn, reflect, rebound, and lead. Thank you so much, Professor K. Moses Namwe. And for those of you watching, this is focused on Liberia, Liberia's 174th Independence Day celebration. And we are joined here by Jackie Sayer, who's my co-host, and the reflection, something close to the keynote is Dr. K. Moses Namwe. Back to you, Jackie.
Yep. Thank you, Dennis. I don't even know where to begin. Thank you so much, Prof. You've left up with some very insightful and provocative thoughts. So we will mull it over and we will try to actualize inclusivity and other things. So thank you so much, Prof. Actually, it was really a good speech, a good reflection of our 174 years. And Prof, we come back to you for one last thing. You said that Liberia, you told us what Liberia means to you,
Yeah.
right? So if you could sum it up in 2 words, let me put it that way, because we've asked people to sum it up. So we heard you, but sum it up in a brief sentence.
Liberia taught me humanity and love.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now we come to the second part of the program, and we thought that we would look at some of the past letters from the free people who came to Liberia. As you know, those that came from the Mali Songhai empires, it was orature. So we do not have any, we don't have written letters or things, but we do have written letters, diaries, and journals of the free people who came from the United States and other places and settled in Liberia. So, I mean, we know that one of the most famous is Peyton Skipwith, who came with his wife and 3 kids in the 1800s, right? So we will go over some of the letters briefly before we talk about the ones that are today. Besides Peyton Skipwith, The Love of Liberty is a book that was just written by Susan Lindsay, and in that book she charted the life story of the major family, the freed slaves who had come, but they had their master freed them, and they came and they were called major, and they became prominent families in Liberia. So some of them used to write letters back and forth. Now the letters, when we discussed them on the literary hour, we said that the letters, they fall in different categories. There were those who begged to return to the United States or from whence they came, who did not want to stay in Liberia. So for them, we know that what Liberia means to them was just hardship. They wanted to go home, and home to them was the United States. And then we have those who, we have a famous letter that we read before that the lady said, well, I don't like it here, but I'm willing to give it a try. So there are those who decided that for good or ill, they would stay and they would try Liberia, and I'm sure for some of them it worked out and they remained. And then there were some who said, this is the place where a black man can be free. So despite the hardships, I will stay. So those were the three categories of letters that we see. So if we briefly go through one, this is one written by written to Ben Major, right? From Talbot Major and from Austin Major in 1843. And he says, and I quote, I do not feel no discouraged at all. For as long as life lasts and my health is good, I do not feel discouraged. I will send you some of the produce of this country, but I have no one to send it by. And another thing, I do not know where to send them, so you can get them. But sir, with you and some groundnuts and many other things, we are all satisfied in this country. And I will say this is the place for the men of color. If we cannot get as much of the benefits of this country as you do in yours, or as we did the country that gave us birth, but you may know in all new country how it is. And as this is the commons of things, we will do that what we can do and leave the balance for the rising generation. And God or Father, I did write you one letter. So here is Major writing the person who owned him in the United States and saying, well, this land is not so bad. I'm going to stay in this land, And then we have another one who wrote and said, yes, sir, it is with pleasure that your humble servant attempts to inform you that he is well. And it is my honest desire to have this, to find you, sir, and family in the same. I myself am well in this country, and I take delight in this country. It surely is me. But I want you to have the goodness to condescend so much as to write me. So we see, we see letters that people were writing that life wasn't perfect, but it was good.
Yeah.
And then we have Peyton Skipwith, and Peyton Skipwith is the one who a lot of people know because his letters were found, right? In Virginia. He left with his family. 1800, his owner freed him, and then he came. So he kept writing his owner, and he said, I embrace this opportunity to inform you that we are all in moderate health at this time, hoping that these fine life. But then he says, all due respect, my wife and I, we are dissatisfied in this place. There is some that have come to this place that have gotten rich. And then there are some that are suffering. Those that are well off do have the poor people that come from America have no chance to make it here. So we see a different kind of letter. We see Skipwith saying, oh, there are people here who are making money, and there are some of us who are really poor. But what is important to note is that even in the 1800s, right, when the first 88 people came and settled on Chevron. Up to the time we had independence, people were coming, and this is one continuum, one thread that goes throughout our discussion. People were coming and people were staying because, as they say, this is the land where a black man could be free. And as you see from the first letter, he said, we will not have all the benefits as you do in that country, but in this country, we will have some benefits. So because of that, we see that Liberia truly was and still is a beacon of hope and light for so many people who came. You know, for the Sudanese refugees who came during the war, for the recaptured slaves that came. So we can look at these letters and say, what does Liberia mean to them? And if we say, what does Liberia mean to them? The simple thing is freedom, a place that they can be free. Now, it may be like Peyton Skipwith, that things were not all rosy, but we say that people remain. And we always say, how do you know that Liberia survived? It's still standing, you know? So we have seen the letters from before independence and even after independence, where they are encouraging others to come to this land. They're encouraging others to come and make a home. And the most important thing they were saying, it was that the black man could not be free in any other country except on the continent of Africa. So those were some of the themes that that you see in the letters. Those that wanted to go back, I doubt that they went back. Those that were very pleased with this country called Liberia, and those that adopted the wait and see attitude. You know, and I'm sure certainly for some of them, waiting became a reality and they stayed. So we move from there now to our letters that we had asked for, what does Liberia mean to me? So we had asked people to please write letters. Please tell us what Liberia means to you. We didn't mean to you. We didn't get a lot, you know. So when we are publishing it, you still have the time to write, you know. But we're going to start by reading some. Some of them are very long, so we're going to read excerpts, you know. And if you hear your essay being read and you want to say anything, you can put it in the comments, you know, so we can see. So we'll start with Dennis. You have yours.
Before we get there, I just want to emphasize that Liberia means different things to different people. For some, they say that was the black experiment. Some saw it the beacon of hope. Some saw it, you know, a place where the oasis in Africa for all free people, the Lone Star forever. Some say this was the black experiment, whatever. And that's why we solicited letters exactly what Liberia means to you. And we are happy with the response or the responses. There are people who sent essays and there are people who sent videos, and we're going to share all that with you. But before we do that, we take a short break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back. Welcome back, and we say happy Independence Day. And Jackie, let's start with the other readings and then before we get to mine.
Okay, so we'll have the first reading, which is Augustine Sheriff. So Augustine's is long, and I will endeavor to read quickly. Augustine Sheriff said, although I live in this place I daydream of as a teenager, my tongue remains heavy with the dialectic accents I developed with my people when I learned to speak, read, and write. No matter how hard I've tried to reduce my accent, I'm easily identified as an African. Where is your accent from? Locals often ask. My accent is from Liberia. I'm a Liberian, I will say proudly. I have repeated this many times. However, no one had ever asked me what it means to be a Liberian until now. They would often follow up with the obvious question, where is Liberia? This is the question that often gets my tongue moving fast, that they would ask me to repeat what I just said. I love telling people about Mama Liberia. I love singing her praises and telling them where that sweet land of liberty sits. Okay, so he goes on, how can I adequately express what Liberia means to me? Her beautiful shorelines and pristine bodies of water, organic nutrients, filled soil that can turn one corn seed into a bountiful harvest. Her sandy soil that danced between my toes along her coastal plains as I ran and played soccer in it, yet never feeling dirty. How can I show me as a child sitting around a fireplace beneath countless stars, listening to beautiful folk tales from the elders of my village, who were my first professors with PhD in tending the soil? How can I show you how the elders sit in a circle under the palava hut to settle disputes among villages? I never could understand, though, why old man Dweru and the other elders would spill the first pour of their palm wine on the ground before taking their sips. It is to give thanks to the ancestors, Chokon Mr. Know-it-all whisper one day. So it's long, but then he says, many days I dream of our reunion with overwhelming nostalgia, longing for her hug through the long distance between us. Did I hear you ask, what does Liberia mean to me? Look at my ebony skin, listen to the poetic song I sing, and consider what drives me to overcome. Examine me, and you will find a character who is law-abiding, polite, ambitious, yet humble. Ask my neighbors to grade me. Ask my co-workers to evaluate me, and my professors for recommendations in the answers to the question you ask. You will catch a glimpse of what Mama Liberia truly means to me. And as I said, this is from Augustine Sheriff, who was born in Liberia. He's an author, and he lives in the United States. He's the author of The Nature of Shadows, and we had him on the show a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes. So that is very good. Yeah. So well, the second one, I will try and see if I can find Franklin Ben Weller. What Liberia means to me, and this is Franklin Ben Weller's. Like my mother, Liberia means the world to me because she is, from the air I breathe to the blood that flows through my veins, connecting generations of ancestral bonds. Through me, she lives as I represent her legacy. Without her, there would be no me. Without me, though she will still exist, I too am needed for the continuum of her destiny in time. I think, oh no, I'm sorry, this is Stephen Keller's. This is not Franklin Ben Weller's. I'm sorry. Franklin Ben Weller is this one. Liberia, the country of my ancestors, home of my forefathers, the place of my birth and my homeland will ever be cherished and loved because according to the old adage, there is no place like home. And yes, Liberia is my home. This is Franklin Ben Weller. Liberia is the only country where my umbilical cord was separated from me and my mother buried it under the big breadfruit tree in Sergeant Colley's town in Bond County. Is this Frank? This is the country that I know and love and will never trade it for another. From the high mountains of Mount Nimba, that is abundantly blessed with huge deposits of black gold, to the shores of Grand Cape Mount, where the beautiful blue waters of Lake Piso filled with some God's precious creation of sea creatures that make up some of our daily dishes, which complement one of our favorite pepper soup and cassava leaves, a dish major of the predominantly white ethnic tribes who, besides the Ethiopians, developed their own alphabet and writing. And he goes on to say, the homogeneity of my beautiful country cannot be overemphasized. This is vividly expressed during the time of festivities such as Ramadan or Christmas. The love of my Liberia would be incomplete if I failed to mention the fertile land that the country is blessed with. Did I tell you about the Sapo forest? There is another area that is filled with various species of trees and wildlife. Visit Liberia at sunset or fly over to see the beauty that I cannot trade. This is my Liberia, the first independent republic in Africa and the home of the OAU. This is the land of liberty, the place I call home and I dearly love and cherish. My Liberia. All hail Liberia and the Lone Star forever. So that's Franklin Venezuela. So we continue with so we've done Augustine. So now we can do another one, which is John Mawolo. John Mawolo says Liberia means peace to me. Liberia is the only place in the world where I feel totally at peace within myself. Liberia means home to me. Liberia is the only country in the world that I cannot be deported from. Liberia is the country where I am free to be who I am freely. Liberia is the spot in the world God chose for and placed me, and that's where He wants me to be. Oh, how I wish that people of my beloved country could have an eye-opener and vote on the basis of logic and not emotion. Vote for the future and not the past. Find value in their own lives and demand better. Oh, how I want to see again the Liberia that I grew up in, where we were self-confident, we were proud to be Liberians, and we wanted the world to know, Liberia, please awake from your slumber and rise. The world misses you. So that's that's my
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to do yours now, or should I continue?
Yeah, I can do mine now.
Okay. Go for it, Dennis.
All right. Let me find mine.
Oh.
And to me, Liberia means freedom, and this is how I capture it.
Okay.
Liberia means freedom. They came from the north, east, and west. Many of them came on foot through the jungles. Others came in boats, canoes, and ships through the waters, all seeking refuge from war, dominance, bondage, and threats. They wanted to be free, left alone to enjoy life and thrive. The Gola, Vi, and the Kisi were the early birds. The Glebo, Klau, and Kua with all their cousins. The Mandingo, Ma, Dan, Bandi, and more. The former slaves and those rescued from slave ships all converged on a land that would symbolize freedom. For this purpose, a pan-African nation was built, a country born out of the need for deliverance from all evil. No matter how or when they came, freedom was the goal. And that is how Liberia came to be, and so must it be. The glorious land of liberty by God's command.
That's good. Thank you. Okay, so we will do another one, which will be Stephen Keller. I will do Stephen Keller's now. So Stephen Keller is a Liberian. He lives in Texas now. He has been married for 16 years. He says he has a talk show called Liberia Shall Rise. So his is like my mother, Liberia means the world to me. I am because she is. From the air that I breathe to the blood that flows through my veins, connecting generations of ancestral bonds. Through me, she lives as I represent her legacy. Without her, there would be no me. Without me, though she will still exist, I too am needed for the continuum of her destiny in time. Like my mother, her joy and sorrows are mine to bear. She has children that may fail or succeed, but like my mother, she will never abandon any of her children in success or failure. Though I too cannot abandon my duties as a child to make my mother proud in all that I do in this world. Oh, therefore, like my mother, as long as I live, her name remains glued to my soul till eternity. I can change my accent, my name, and even my complexion. No matter what I do to conceal her existence, she will always be my mother. Like my mother, she's the only one, and she's the one and only as I can have only one mother. I will always have one country, and I'm grateful that mine is Mama Liberia, the sweet land of liberty. Okay. It's like
Powerful.
it's very emotional when it comes to Liberia.
All this.
Yes. The next one is from Emmanuel Jackson. Emmanuel says, words can't express what Liberia means to me, but I will attempt to express few words what our native land and country has done for me and kinsfolk. Liberia has given us the courage and fortitude to strive for excellence in our endeavors in life. Liberia has always stood for freedom for mankind and social political independence of nation states in the world. This has meant the inspiration and competitive nature of being a useful citizen of Mama Liberia. Long live Liberia, land of glorious liberty for all mankind. That's, yeah. So that's Emmanuel Jackson. So Dennis, you've read yours, and I will read Anastasia Simmons Kephart now. What Liberia means to me. With a push and a pull, life is resurrected. A mother's cry for another's daughter after the death of the previous is answered. Reina Anastasia, the long-awaited woman has arrived. Liberia means life. The long-awaited woman returns to life. Life that allows me to enjoy the Atlantic Ocean when walking barefooted on the sand while water washed away the sand between my toes. With mouth wide open, I savor the tasteless air. I stretch my arms to embrace the cool air that chills even the hottest temperature. Liberia means caring neighbors who are now family, neighbors who stand in for your parents, neighbors that willingly open their homes and share their meager meals with you. Liberia means lifelong friendship, friendship that withstands the test of time, friendship that empathizes, laughs, shares, hugs, friendship that knows no boundaries. Liberia means leverage beyond Liberia, leverage to compete knowing that my foundation is intact. Liberia means endless possibilities, even in the most dismal time. Like my Atlantic Ocean, I am possibilities. I determine my depth using my God given potential to broaden my horizons. Life, caring neighbors, lifelong friendship, leverage, and endless possibilities. My Liberia. Anastasia Simmons Kippard. Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
that's
So
beautiful.
yeah, that's okay. So we will come to another one, which is I'm trying to scroll as fast as I can. Francis Wilson, Francis C. Wilson, what Liberia means to me, and Liberia used to be the place I went to exhale and to breathe again. The only place on earth where my pulse could be checked with accuracy, my communion, my virtual reconnecting to my navel string, buried somewhere in Montserrado soil. Liberia, where all the people I love resided, related by blood, by intergenerational milling in our history. Mama Liberia. So I will scroll down and read the ending because these will be put into a booklet, and they will also be put on a page on a website so you can read. She says, today, no matter how often I come, how long I stay, the only thing that is familiar to me is the slap of humidity. I can feel my stress level rising like the mother of a determinately recalcitrant child. How will you disappoint me today? My next emotion on my last trip of 7 months was fury, as several others tried to shove me out of my place in line. The Liberian lackey waved them forward, all necessary bribes having been paid. I'm older, but no less vocal in the face of abuse. Every Liberian they've ever met, from embassies to consulates to government officials, have probably had a price tags around their necks like waiters and waitresses serving up their country on cheap plastic made in China platters. Forward we go into the madness of luggage recovery. This was pre-new terminal opening, the cadence of the voice in my head, patiently repeating my mantra. I am home. I am happy. And this too shall pass. With each return, the voice is fainter and the mantra has changed. We are lost. We are old. And we are homeless. So, very realistic.
Okay.
Yes, very, 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 very good. Those are some of the writings. We have one, but I think we have a few more.
Yeah, we do.
Do you have some that you want to read?
If you are just joining us, this is focused on Liberia. This is Liberia's 174th Independence Day celebration. Under the theme, What Does Liberia Mean to Me? We're reading poems and essays from our contributors expressing what the country Liberia means to them. And so, Jackie, we can continue reading this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So do you want to go to comments? Do they have some comments that they want us to read? What Liberia means to them? Okay.
We have no comments here. We are encouraging all of you watching, post your comments on what Liberia means to you. And you can also call in. The phone lines will be open very shortly and tell us what Liberia means to you. Before that, we also have some videos from Liberia that we're going to share later. But Jackie, let's go ahead and read more if you have some.
Okay, well, I have. I don't know if this was given to us to read as what Liberia means to them, because it's in a poem form, but I don't know if it was intended for us to read it. So I will leave that out. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of essays of what Liberia means to people. I mean, I wanted to read Edward Wilmer Blyden's admonition to Liberia during his 26th message, but let's talk a bit about what we've read. You know, so Dennis, what do you think about what we just read?
In spite of everything, as I said previously, Liberia means different things to different people. And I'm inspired by the positive outlook about what Liberia means to those that contributed essays. And it tells me that you can look beyond what everybody sees or beyond the normal and still look for that hope. And if you look on the surface and see what is going on, sometimes you think that that's the end. But Liberia has been through worse than that. And so I'm inspired by the hope I see in fellow Liberians and what the country means to them.
Okay. If yeah, the letters that we've been reading, the essays, they are like the letters from the free peoples, from Peyton Skipwith and the others. You know, there are people who are saying, you know, this is my land, this is Mama Liberia. Just how the people wrote the letters back saying, come and join us. This is a good land, you know, this is where the black man can be free. Then we have others who have this wait and see attitude. So it's also echoed in some of these letters and essays. And then we have people who unconditionally love Liberia, or there are those who love Liberia. There's no doubt that they love Liberia, but yet they are hesitant to be hopeful because, you know, things might go awry. You know, so all of these are things that can be explored in the writings, as we say, the writings that come out of a country encapsulates everything that they talk about. So I think that yes, there's no doubt we love Liberia, but I think also there are a lot of us who have this wait and see attitude, or what can we do to help? But as we talk about the underlining the commonality is love. Most people, they do love Liberia. So if we want people to call in, I mean, send us, what do you feel? How do you see Liberia? What does Liberia mean to you? Please make it interactive and send us your comments so we can read them. I see that that we don't have a lot of comments. But if you
Right.
want to say what Liberia means to you, please feel free to do that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, Dennis.
no, we can. The comments here are not about what Liberia means, but they're commenting. If you want us to read them, we can do that too.
Okay.
Franklin Wheeler said, "Thanks, my professor, and happy July 26th to you." Mavia Douglas said, "That was a wonderful reflection. Thank you." Francis Wilson is watching and multitasking. Jerome Gilman, happy birthday, Mama Liberia. Nathaniel Sawyer, my name is Nathaniel D. Sawyer from the Airfield Bell. Thanks a lot, our studio host. We've learned a lot from you guys. How serious are we Liberians to lead our beloved country to the
You should,
heights?
you should start.
I knew that was coming.
You should start. How serious? The whole thing about how serious Liberians are you not a Liberian? Of course you are one. Where deep in your heart can you find a gap that you want it filled, so that you get it together? Even 2 or 3 happen to be a crowd.
Yep.
Let's find something to be in leadership. As I said earlier, it's not that you have to want to be a president or vice president or something of that sort. You can lead in a significant way, please.
Thank you. Augustine Sherry, what a pleasure to listen to all of these well-written essays, poems, and letters from Liberians from all walks of life. Happy 174th Independence Day to this sweet land of liberty. Samuel Hammond, Liberia means the mother of Africa who fought for the independence of other African nations in the 1960s. So that's what Liberia means to Samuel. Chris Bird said, what does Liberia mean to you, Jackie Sire? Would love to hear your poetic ideas. And also, Chris, what does Liberia mean to you? Please put that in the comment, or you can call. I'm going to put the number on the screen. What does Liberia mean to me? Please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#, and share with us in 1 minute what does Liberia mean to you. We have videos from Liberia. They say what Liberia means to them. Back to you, Jackie.
Okay, so Chris is asking me to share my 26 poem that I did a few years ago. So I'll read that. It's called The Treasure, and I wrote it I think 2 years ago. And so it goes, okay, The Treasure. Green Coast ancestors left a legacy buried deep. It waits and whispers to weary wayfarers. It says, begin the search. It stirs and shouts to nomads, come, come, I grow weary. I languish in the shadows of your forgetfulness. I'm choked between the crevices of your despair, yet I wait for you. Vagabonds and nomads have come by sea and by feet, through sweat and tears. The Dan, Grebo, Bandi, Kru, Pele, Gola, Gio, Kran. Come, Mano, Basa, Mende, Americos, and Vi. Seek. Loma, Congos, Kisi, Day, Madingo, and Bele. Find. One people, many paths. They've come seeking this land. They are wanderers no more. That was mine. Oh.
Jackie, how is that very similar to mine? And we were in different places, right?
I tell you, Dennis, we write like this was, but I wrote this like 3 years ago. I sent it to the newspaper in Liberia, and she reminded me. But actually, this year it was very difficult for me. But I wrote a very short thing because so here's my thing about what Liberia means to me. They say hope is a thing with feathers. They say hope perches in the soul. I say hope is a thing that falls. I say hope is a thing that crawls. It hobbles, it stumbles, and it falls. Hope is heavy. Hope is burdensome. Hope cannot fly, yet it is too light to land. It sits and it waits, looking to the horizon for what is to come. Then it perches and it listens and then it rises up and it soars on wings higher and higher. This for me is what Liberia is. So
Wow.
so I'm hopeful. I am hopeful.
Nimlan Wa said to me, Liberia means strength, resilience, love, and hope. But when purpose is lost, abuse is inevitable.
Yes.
Chris
Yes.
Birch, Liberia means a home that I only knew through stories and poems, but felt feathered too by all the women before me, telling me about palm butter, palm wine, and the Atlantic Ocean. Happy 26. If you
Happy
just joined
26,
us,
Chris. Happy
go ahead,
26.
Jackie.
No. I said happy 26. Yeah, she learned all those stories. She had to listen to it with the palm butter. Yes, we've come to almost a place where we can see the horizon. You know, I don't think that, as I said, hope is burdensome. You know, but hope can fly, and I think that if we keep lifting Liberia up, if you remember, Dennis, when we did the New Year's resolution, we
Right.
said that we should lift Liberia up, because we say from your lips to God's ears, that if you keep saying things are bad, we know things are bad, but we cannot perpetually, continuously say things are bad. There are some, as Prof puts it, nuggets of gold in Liberia. You know, people are doing things, and those are the things that we should lift up, and people will see it and they will strive to do better. You know, and I think that Liberia has a very promising future because of that. Yeah. So maybe
And
we
if
can.
you want to call in to tell us what Liberia means to you, the number is on the screen. That's a teleconference number, 605-313-6004. The code is 791403.
Yeah. So
So we now go to our videos from Liberia, right, Jackie?
okay, yes, we can do that. Why people try to call in? Yeah.
Yeah. So what Liberia means to me, we have young people from Monrovia, Liberia, also telling us what Liberia means. So listen carefully. We want to thank everyone who contributed. Watch.
So it means a whole lot to you. The country alright for you. Okay, but we just want to know what the country means to you, because since you were born, you're doing your own business here. So we just wanted to know what the country means to you. And since you say alright, that your own view. Thank you, yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hey, Emmanuel.
Your name?
I'm Jimmy Junior.
What Liberia means to you?
Liberia means a whole life to me. Because I am a Liberian, and there is nothing about Liberia that was not accept me. I'm a patriotic Liberian. I can never be deported because I'm in Liberia. So Liberia means a whole life to me.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, what's your name?
Well, my name is George. What you want?
What Liberia meant to you, Mr. Wong?
Well, Liberia means a lot to me because Liberia, firstly, is my country, and it's a place that I can never be deported from. So Liberia means a lot to me.
Thank you very much.
What does Liberia mean to you?
So you videotaped me at the same time recording?
What does Liberia mean to you?
No, the question is, are you videotaping me at the same time
Yeah.
recording? Okay, yeah, okay, you're doing both audio, video and audio. And you want to know You want to know the meaning of Liberia? You want to know the meaning of Liberia, or
what does it mean to you? What does this LIB, Liberia, mean to you? Yeah, you were born here. You went to school here. And up to now, you almost 50 years old. Or you're 50 years old. What does this country mean to you?
Liberia means a lot.
Especially the July 26th.
July 26th, well, we're still grateful to the Almighty. That's for me. But I don't know for a lot of people, they would be happy because they exist. But due to the economic situation in our country, so many families are very sad.
That's what, but if we look at the from 1847, and we look at the country before and after, the country still means a whole lot to you. You don't care whether it look different or it look different, but the country still means something to you.
Yeah, that you are quite correct, because Liberia will always be my home. Pre-war Liberia, post-war Liberia, even during the war, I still consider Liberia my home, and Liberia is still my home, and that's why I'm still here. Everywhere that I went, I came right back. This is my motherland, and I think I will always be here.
Thank you very much.
I don't have no work to do, but like citizen.
So how you look at the 26 past and present? Because we're looking at what Liberia meant to you.
You know, the 26 years, even for now, even for my children clothes. So everything that be wearing clothes, we use the old clothes.
So right now, what Liberia really means to you? It means a whole lot, right?
It means a whole lot.
Because you're inside, you're struggling, you're inside,
we can't live from inside, we just have to manage it to get there.
Oh, okay, so that's how it is. Okay, thank you very much. How about you?
I'm very interested. Started, we are here already. We can't run away from it.
You can call your name?
Yeah, I'm Emmanuel Jackson.
Okay. So how you feel about the July 26th and what it means all to you, what the country means to you?
26 is going to be cool because no money at all. You don't have money to celebrate 26. So maybe you may celebrate 26 by praying.
But you still take Liberia at heart?
Yeah, Liberia is at heart, number one at heart. You know, Liberia is all we have, so you just got to put it at heart.
Thank you very much. And in terms of what? School, the development or this and this, but really you were born here, right? So how you look at Liberia? What it means to you?
I say it means a lot to me.
It means a whole lot to you. So that means you love this country. Yeah. You prefer living to different country and living in Liberia. Which one? Oh, that's good. That's good. Then that means Liberia means a whole lot to you. So happy 26th. Sure. Yeah, it will be on the net. Yeah, your name, sir?
I'm Musa Blama.
Yeah, what does Liberia means to you? For this July 26th and your personal life?
Liberia is more than God. It's my country. It's very important. Just like looking at the start of my country right now, somehow downhearted. I'm not ready for peace. Looking at the status of Liberia, our economy, our leadership, and our well-being, the future of the young people.
But you don't say it means, Liberia means a whole lot to you.
That's my country. I love the country a lot. My sole pleasure and prayer is to see that at least at this age, the country should have a transformation, a positive one.
Thank you.
There you have it. Those are videos from Mama Liberia on what the country means to them. Back to you, Jackie.
Well, as you can see, again, it's a reflection of the letters and the essays. There are people who are saying that things are difficult. There are people who are saying that despite all the difficulties, they still love the country. And that's what we're trying to say, that people have hope that things will get better. People have trials and tribulations living in Liberia. It's funny that sometimes when you talk to people outside the country, they have more complaints than the people living inside the country. And even the people living inside, they have very limited means. But you see them saying that, even if I travel, this is where I want to be. I this is my home. I want to return when I go. So nothing has changed, Dennis. Everything is as it should be. There are people who are ambivalent. There are people who unconditionally love the country. And I think, as Sis Francis says, there are people who fuss and fight. The tongue and teeth can fall out, but they need each other. So it's exactly what is seen in the videos. Yeah.
Francis Wilson, Liberia is and will always be the love of my life. Like all lovers, we may fuss, fight, and disagree, but we come together in love to produce our offspring that create our tomorrow. Thank you, Jackie, for the editing. We know what I mean. I love my Liberia. Sam Wallow, one of our regular viewers here, in order for Liberia to be a more productive nation, everyone has to be willing to acknowledge that there are severe challenges and then take active steps to address them and not rely on hope or thoughts of nostalgia. I value the views of the interviewees who are willing to call out the difficulties for what they are. Willia Dumba, but okay, so what is the purpose of this? Williard, I don't know if you're asking for the purpose of July 26th, please be clear. Our phone lines are open if you have 1 minute to tell us what the country means to you on this 174th Independence Day.
So people have to think before they.
But I thought you said you have one or two things to read from Blyden and a few others.
Yes, I can. I want to read Blyden while people are waiting.
Maybe you can say Blyden.
So Blyden's Independence Day address in July 27, 1857. He was like Prof was talking about the cultivation of values and things that will move the country forward. So in his speech, he then states, and I quote, "What then are the moral causes of the present evils in Liberia? As a people, we have been in too much haste to be rich, relinquishing the pursuit of those attributes that would fit us for the faithful discharge of our peculiar duties as men, as Liberians, as an infant nation. We have used every possible measure to enhance our pecuniary importance, and in the precipitate efforts at wealth, we have not been careful as to what means we have employed. The desire to be rich or to appear to be rich pervades all classes. The love of money has grown upon us to such degree that all other avenues of distraction seem but trifling in comparison. To be rich seems with many the chief end of man. Hence, no talent, no endowment of the mind, no skill or knowledge, no amount of education is appreciated only so far as it will pay. This fact has operated greatly in retarding the literary progress of our youth. Yeah, and then he goes on to say that another cause of our adversity may be seen in the unjustifiable extravagance in which we indulge, in the luxury of expenditure for house, for dress, for furniture, for food. Our prosperity is not real, it is false. And I think we even said that before. So again, this is 1857, nothing has changed, and he's talking about this conspicuous consumption that is not real. It's shallow because you do not have the country and the people, they do not have the means by which they would sustain this grandiose lifestyle, and that's what he's talking about. So this was in 1857. So nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
French was a kind man.
Great. So there you have it. Those are all the videos from Liberia. And also, we don't have a call now. We went over from the comments what Liberia means to you.
Yeah.
Happy July 26th again. As we say in Liberia, my 26th on you.
Yeah, and I think that people are outdoors, they are enjoying themselves with the 26, having their barbecues and things as it should be. But I'm sure they will watch it later, and we want to say thank you to Prof. Nangbe. Thank you for your very insightful reflections, and we are going to listen to it again, because I mean, it is important that we move the country forward in every aspect. A development is not just infrastructure. You, you- the human mind has to envision before they can create, and the job of literature and the job of
History.
the arts and history is to create that spark, or to nurture that spark, so that they are able to develop. So yeah, we thank you, Prof. We thank you for leaving your comfortable. I'm sure you have some plan for 26 to come and join us. Yeah, yeah, and we thank all of those who had videos to from Liberia to show us that what Liberia means to them, and we want to say thank you to all of you, and we hope you will please send in more essays. It's not too late because we are compiling them. It was not just for today. It's not what 26 means to you. It's what Liberia means to you. So please send it to us, and we can compile them into a manuscript or a book. Yeah, so thank you very much. And happy 26th. Happy 174th birthday,
Yeah,
Liberia.
that's a long
Yeah,
time.
that's a long time. Yes.
And thank you, Prof, for the reflection. Thank you, Jackie, for working so hard and all others who contributed to the success of this show. I want to say thank you. Thanks to our viewers, those who send in their essays, their poems, and writings. I want to say thank you so much. Those who send the video, even the man behind the camera, we want to say thank you so much. Liberia has a country, means so many things to different people. To me, it means freedom. To Prof, it means something else. It means this is the place. It teaches him humanity. That's what Liberia means to him. And so, as we said,
Well, Dennis, I want to tell you, you're right. I think this question was posed to Kendrick when Willett Dunbar said, "What is the real purpose of this?" Because Kendrick Dunbar was the one who was interviewing the people. We had two individuals doing the interviewing, Edwin Sharif and Kendrick Dunbar, and we want to say thank you to them.
Yeah.
So if it comes to what is the purpose of this, we kindly ask them to ask others for our video. So that is why they were doing that. Yes.
All right. So thank you, Kendrick and Mr. Sharif, for the interview. And as Jackie and Prof said, this is not the end. What does Liberia mean to you? This is a question that we should continue to answer. And Prof says something, or I don't know if I can quote that correctly, during his reflection, that freedom unbalanced by the sense of responsibility is chaos.
Yeah.
So most of the time we talk about our rights as citizens, and sometimes gloss over our responsibilities as citizens. So as we end the day, as we end the celebration, let's remember that in as much as we have rights, we also have responsibilities.
Yes.
And if those rights are unbalanced by the responsibilities, what we have is chaos.
Chaos, yeah.
I think we can see some semblance of that when everybody is fighting for rights, but does not take responsibility for for the country.
That's right.
Prof, your final words. Oh, now we have one caller.
Oh, okay.
let's give that caller a chance. Caller, your name and where you calling from. What does Liberia mean to you?
Thank you so very much, Mr. Daneja. This is Anthony here, and I want to share with all of us what Liberia means to me.
Go ahead, Mr. C.
For me, one word. Yeah. For me, Liberia means one word to me, and that word is heritage. Without Liberia, I cannot remember where I started eating palm butter. Without Liberia, I cannot remember where I went to my birds on the farm. Without Liberia, I cannot remember where I climbed the palm tree and the coconut trees. Without Liberia, I cannot remember where I planted pumpkin. Without Liberia, I cannot remember my grandmother right by the fire hut, eating cassava and pepper in the morning and sometimes with palm butter. Without Liberia, I cannot remember going on the farm to fishing, to cut firewood. Without Liberia, I cannot remember walking with my friends, running around, especially on the farm. Without Liberia, I cannot remember who I am and what my heritage is. So for me, Liberia means heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sia. That's our own Anthony Sia calling the political bulldog. We have another caller. Caller, your name and what does Liberia mean to you?
Yes, this is Emmanuel Jackson. I know I wrote a comment, but I just want to state what Liberia means to me. Growing up, and some of the educated people of Liberia that I know, and I'm just going to continue naming until I can remember the name. Dr. Augusta F. King, Tron Wille, J. Buddha Blamo, Abiodun Jones, Baiti Moore, who's the other person? Chessing, Lawyer Chessing, we used to call him Perry Mason.
Yes.
And my uncle Abraham Jackson, who was chief of staff, one of them who fought to liberate Congo. Oh God!
Mary Antoinette Brown Sherman.
60 and 70, S.P. Rao, people their father, who were neighbor. He was a Methodist preacher, but he was also a scholar. And Reverend Emerson, Reverend Dixon,
we get the idea. We get the idea.
Jackson Abdul, Goodrich.
Thank you.
And Reginald Thompson.
Yeah.
And Dr. Momodu Kekawe from our place there, from Tala. The one who was mass communication PhD. He was at LBS. He came in the 70s too. He was there. Dr. Elijah Taylor, Tamba Taylor, Josh Jala.
Yeah, that's why he said he would name them until you remember.
Yeah. But we get the idea.
I just Mr. Many.
Thank you.
Superintendent Fangalo of Lima County.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
These are the many other Liberians that I knew that were highly educated, and when we were growing up, we saw that Liberia had a very high standard in the world.
Yeah.
So that's why I called.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Prof, before we come in, let me read a few more. This
Okay.
one from Niata Stella Herring. Niata Stella Herring. Liberia means love, motherhood, my navel string, my happy place. I send the speech to you as you requested. Sam Wallace, great point, Professor. Harold said, well, Jabba, Liberia is my home and home to millions, yet the country is bleeding, wanting its citizens to be nationalists and patriots who will put the interests of the country first. Liberia is my home, aware that the bad days will pass when all the Gorbachev shall leave the city.
Will they ever leave, my brother?
There will always be Gorbachev.
As it was in the beginning, it's now, ever shall be, where without end.
So, Prof, your final thoughts as we wrap it up.
Yeah. I first want to, you all are in leadership position. You might not know. So you've already been in the practice, the tradition of leading. as we said, this leadership thing is not being head of a country and what have you, but in your community, in the little group you have, you can create the capacity to lead, let people follow you. Having learned something, reflected, you can rebound and take up the mantle. So I'd like to thank you. I want to thank you and the team. I want to thank Jackie, especially with our literary hour program. She is the engine. She is the energy in that area there. So I want to thank. I'm proud of. I always say that now. I'm proud of all of you, and whatever you do in your corner to live Liberia and to live humankind, is a worthy experience. We may not break the ugliness in Liberia, but whatever little corner we have and what we do, we shed light, and probably that's all God sent us to do. And whatever happens, people will always remember what we've done here. So thank you all very much. I'm proud to be part of you. And let's see what the next several years God will have us around here will make of us for Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie? Jackie, you're muted.
I wish every 26, as they celebrate Liberia's birthday, they should take time off among the festivities. Let them pause, sit aside and really evaluate this question and think about the answer to what Liberia means to them. Because it is when they answer this question to themselves, that's how they'll be able to say, oh, Liberia means this to me, so therefore I have to work towards this. So what Liberia means to me is not a foolish question. It's not a question that we just threw about. We thought long and hard, Prof and I, before we sent out this question. So ask yourself. Some people don't have the gift of writing. So some people will just look at the question and say, oh, but I can't write. But we're not asking you to write. We're not asking you to write, a treatise or anything. One word is enough. But let that word be a truthful upsurge of something from within you. So when you say, like Edwin Sharif just wrote, Liberia is my mother. So if it's your mother, you will take care of your mother. You will want your mother to not have a hard life. So what does Liberia mean to me? We are asking you again to send us more questions, more essays, more poems, and more letters, whatever you want to write, to express what Liberia means to you. So as you go about your festivities, again, as we say, let this be at the back of your mind. Let it be a discussion. When you're doing your barbecue and you're sitting there with a friend and you're drinking beer or club beer or something, say, what does Liberia mean to you? And then when they answer, then you can say, oh, Liberia means the same thing to me, or oh, Liberia doesn't mean this. Then the conversation starts. Let's get to this place where Liberia means this. So I thank you, Dennis, for giving us this time today to have this event. I thank everybody for joining us to discuss this, and as Prof said, even if it's one person, we will continue this discussion, this journey that we are on will come to, we hope, a productive end. As Sam Wallow say, it is the best is yet to come. And as I said, hope is heavy. Hope doesn't always fly. Hope crawls. But we will get to this place that we are going. We will get there. So happy 26th to everybody. We are all one people. And thank you, Dennis. Happy 26th, Prof.
Until then, all of us here at Focus on Liberia, we say, enjoy your 26th weekend. But remember, whether you believe Liberia means suffering or good time, whether you came by foot or your ancestors came through the seas or through the waters or the rivers, or they were recaptured or whatever, we are all Liberians, and that should remain supreme.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our